It's time once again for your update from the Mayor of New Hope, Kathi Hemken. Welcome once again, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. It's sunny and bright. I'm fine.
Yes,
Not
it's been
so
a
good. Not so
fantastic
good on
weekend.
Wednesday, though.
No,
Yep.
something's going to be changing, but it was bound to happen. We'll talk a little bit about some fall and wintertime things in a few moments. Let's begin, though, with West Metro Fire Rescue District and some activity happening there around a grant. Give us a little background about the grant and tell us what is happening now as it moves ahead.
Well, it's called a SAFER grant, and it comes from the state. And what it's going to do is allow the fire department to hire 3 people. Well, it's more complicated than just hiring them because the SAFER grant will pay their wages for 3 years. However, there's other things that need to be paid, like their uniforms and the training. And so the West Metro has decided that they would pick up half of that tab, and then the cities would pay the other half, divided between the 2 cities. And then after 3 years, they become permanent employees that we and Crystal will support in its entirety. So we had a meeting with the chief, and she gave us the presentation, and the mayor of Crystal and I both decided that we wanted to come back to our consuls so we could talk privately with the consuls. And what we'll do is, if we decide, well, whatever we decide on this grant, we will tell the board, and then they will relay that on to the chief. So we'll be talking with our consul probably the next week or 2, and then that information will go to the board, and they're the ones that actually vote on this.
Very good. We will keep residents up to date as that moves along. Community development, let's talk a little bit about Hy-Vee and some of the activity happening there. They've been working on this project for some time.
Well, they're going boom, boom, boom with big pilings. So they're building a 1,200 square foot 4-lane kiosk to pick up your groceries. They did have a temporary one on the side of the building on the west side, but of course it was just temporary. And now that they're actually putting something permanent in, the people are picking up their groceries through the area where they pick up their prescriptions. So it's a little confusing right now, but soon they're going to be done. I'm guessing they'll be done by the end of the year, and then they'll have 4 lines. They call it Hy-Vee on Aisles Online. So you can order your groceries online, and then you can just go pick them up. They put them in your car, and off you go. So anyway, look for some improvements with that soon.
Very good. Planning Commission, let's talk about a resignation that has come in for a very important person in that Planning Commission.
Well, our chair, Chris Hansen, has decided after 6 years that he's going to be done with the Planning Commission at the end of the year. So we wish him well. He was a great asset to the Planning Commission, but of course that leaves some spaces on the Planning Commission. So if there's anybody out there that would like to apply, they have to either live in the city or work in the city. You don't have to have a lot of experience. Staff does a lot of the work. You just put your practicality into it and help us, the city council, make decisions on whether or not that project makes sense. So we're looking forward to that, and good luck to Chris.
All right, and more information about that opening on the city's website, newhopemn.gov, and the process for applying for that position. Scattered site housing, let's give folks a little update. First, let's head to Aquila. What is the latest on that property?
Okay, that's the house that had the fire. So obviously it's torn down, and they did some grading of the soil. So now what they're doing is removing that extra soil and getting it out of there. And they're going to start framing probably later this week or next week. So I'd look for that to be framed in just as soon as they can get it in, because then they'll go inside and be able to work on the inside.
All right, let's move up to Pennsylvania, 52nd Pennsylvania. Speaking of framing, it's happening here.
That one's all done. So they're now, the framing's all done. So now they're in the house doing the inside part. But they know that the weather's going to get icky, so they wanted to get the framing done as soon as they could, and then just be inside. So we also have 2 other properties that are in the looking at stage. Mm-hmm. What we do is we go out and we find properties that look like their potentials to be rehabbed or torn down. Usually they're the older properties that are in the city, and then we approach the owners. If they want to sell, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But if they do want to sell, we give them a fair price for the property. And then both of these that we're looking at currently, we'll be tearing down and then putting up, we'll sell the land to a developer, and they'll put up a house.
Let's move over to the police department. An update here that has to do with artwork in the city hall. Tell us about the great art now on display and how this all came together with the police and one great commission.
So the Human Rights Commission, their city liaison is the police chief, and that's why it's under the police section. So they bought some Crayolas called Colors of the World, and what they are is skin colors of people all around the world. They gave these to the kindergartners in New Hope and asked them to draw a picture of either themselves with the color that matches their skin, or their caregivers, or their friends, or whoever they wanted to. So we got about 250 pictures in,
Right.
drawn by kindergartners with crayons, and we pasted them all over City Hall. So they'll be up all this week. You can come in and just take a look at them. We did invite the kids to bring their parents in, and we had about 50 of them come in and look at their pictures, and they were showing us the cute ones they had of themselves or their teachers or their caretakers. So it was really a fun project, not only for the kids and the teachers, but for the parents to get into City Hall and to see them. So it was get in and see them. They're really cute.
Yeah, what a great idea. And again, hope you enjoy some of those pictures right there. Let's move on to the police department. A resolution passed, something called Joint Community Policing Partnership. Who are the partners, and tell us a little bit more about what this will do.
Well, the partners are Crystal, Golden Valley, and no, Crystal, Robbinsdale, and New Hope. And we're partnering with Hennepin County. And this partnership is just to make sure that our policing is going right. Do we need more mental health workers? Do we need something else in the police department? We have a great police department, and they do a real good job at policing, but there's so much more to policing than just riding in the car and stopping people that are speeding. So we want to make sure that we're doing this right. And it makes sense for us to partner with these other cities because we interchange officers so often when there's an emergency.
All right, something we'll keep people updated on as that moves along. Let's move over to the utility bill certification of Public Works. We've been following these numbers, and I take it the number continues to go down.
It does. It's down to 248,000, but that's still a lot of money. And that's the money that people owe for their water bills or their citations that they've received. At this point, it's now going on to their taxes. So it shouldn't go down much more. It'll go on their taxes. They will pay it, but it'll take a little bit longer to get that in. But we'll do it.
Earlier, we mentioned there are some signs of the season happening, and one is street sweeping. The sweepers are out. Why is this an important time of the year to get that done?
Well, Allied Paving is the ones we hired to do the street sweeping. And that's hard to say, by the way, street sweeping. Anyway, I just want to remind people, do not rake your leaves into the street. That's not the object of this. You have to pick up your leaves. If you rake them in the street, you're very likely to get a citation because you're not supposed to be doing that. This is just to get the debris off the street and the leaves that are in the street off there so that when it snows or rains, they don't just go in the gutter. So remember, bag your leaves or mulch them, but don't put them in the street.
Good advice. Park and rec time, a lot going on in this area, so get ready. The first is a unique use of the golf course facility. Tell us what has happened recently.
Well, less people think the only thing that happens over there is golf. It's
Right.
not. So they had an adult wine and painting party. They rented the golf course pavilion or the clubhouse, and then they had this wine and painting party. I didn't see any of the artwork, but they came and they went. So that
All
was
right.
good.
Very good. Sounds like some fun. We'll talk more about painting and the golf course and Park and Rec in just a minute. Let's talk about some of the other things coming up. You're looking for sponsors around the Music in the Parks program. Tell us about this great opportunity and when that occurs.
Well, we built this beautiful pavilion at the park, at Civic Center Park, and we've been using it as much as we can. So they're showing movies in the park, which is kind of a cool thing, and they're also doing some music in the park. There's some sponsorships available, so if you want to sponsor a movie, it's about $300. These are mostly for businesses, but if you want to sponsor a band that's playing there, they don't really know what that will be, depending on how many people are playing. So it's somewhere around the $300 to $900 range. But you could also just sponsor part of the band if you want.
You bet. Sounds good. Great opportunity. You see the city's website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more about that opportunity there. Other opportunities, how about some employment opportunities? Still needing people to sit out in the warming houses, I take it.
Wait, once it snows, I think we'll get more applicants.
Right.
It's hard to apply to be an applicant of the warming houses when the sun is shining and it's 60. But we are looking for people to do that. They can apply online or they can go into City Hall and get an application. It's a nice winter job.
Mhm.
It's real part-time, but it's a fun kind of job, and you just kind of man the warming house and make sure everything is going well in there.
Another sign of the season changing is the staff is encouraging people to come in for the winter and rent out the gym space. Tell us about that great opportunity.
So the city of New Hope and Cooper High School collaborated many years ago, and we built a big gym behind Cooper High School. So the high school uses it during the day, and then the city is allowed to rent it out or use it in the evenings. And so we're looking for people that might want to come in, like a baseball team that wants to practice indoors, or a soccer team that wants to practice in the winter indoors. So again, they can go online into Park and Rec and put in the community gym rental, and they'll get some information on what it costs.
Another item we've been updating residents on is the Meadow Lake drawdown. There's some action happening there now. What is the latest on that process?
Well, we finally awarded the contract for that drawdown. So now what's going to happen is they'll have a pre-construction meeting. You don't just stick a hose in there and siphon the water out. They have to have pumps, and there's a way to do it. And so now that the contract has been awarded, the maintenance people will work with that contractor to figure out how they're going to pump that water out. I did ask where they're going to pump it to, and they looked at me like, I don't know. I'm guessing they're just going to pump it to the street and into the sewer system.
Okay. All right. More to come as that process moves along. Back to the golf course we go. We mentioned some art happening there on a rental basis, but there was also art happening on a park and rec basis. What's this?
Well, the Park and Rec, one of the things they had was a mother-daughter painting class.
Fun.
No wine involved. No wine involved in that one. So that
Mhm.
was part of the programs that the Park and Rec do. Those books will be coming out soon, but you can also still sign up for some of those fall classes. So look in your In Motion, that book, and see what else is going on. But there's lots of fun stuff going on and then it's going to be rented to St. Therese on Tuesday from 8 to 4. I have no idea what they're doing there. And then there's a celebration of life there on Wednesday.
Very nice. Great facility to rent out. And again, the city uses it on a regular basis. Let's move over to the ice arena. What's happening there? I understand a big tournament action happening just the past week.
They did. They had the elite tournament there. That's kind of a big deal. Now the boys hockey team has started to play their schedule, so they'll be playing there. And then of course the youth hockey is practicing and having their games there. So it's getting busy at the ice arena.
To the finance department, we go for a quick update, and you wanted to pass along some information about an ongoing fee that comes in through Xcel Energy. What is that? How does that work?
So if everybody looks at their utility bill, they'll notice there's a fine,
A fee?
thank you. The word just went away. A franchise fee, sorry.
Yep.
So they collect these franchise fees. We'll be getting the third quarter payment from Xcel, which is $174,000. So that is for the use of our land, where they put their wires and their things under the ground. And so we get these quarterly checks from Xcel. We also get them from other utility companies too.
Over to Human Resources, quick couple updates here. First is with Captain Crocker's resignation. Again, some time for some movement in the police department. How does this process work?
Well, Captain Crocker obviously was a captain. So we took one of our sergeants and promoted him to captain, which leaves an empty spot in the police department.
Mhm.
So what they'll do is they'll post it within our police department. And if they get at least 2 signers, they'll pick one of them for that job. If they don't get 2 signers, 2 people that sign up that want it, then
Mhm.
they'll have to go externally. These are the rules that they tell us we have to live by. So if we don't find somebody in our police department to fill that sergeant spot, then we'll go externally to find someone. But sooner or later, even if we take one from our department, we're going to have to go out and get another police officer anyway.
Right.
So it's just a long process.
Yep, continues on. Here's one other neat note from Human Resources, some hearing testing going on at the city. Who's getting their hearing tested?
Well, I thought this was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They've done 2 sessions now. One of them was with Public Works. And I imagine because they're using these big trucks and all this stuff that's noisy, and the police. And I would imagine that's because they go to the gun range and they're practicing and they're shooting. And so they're both getting hearing tests this month.
Good to see things like that happen. City Services Survey, you wanted to give residents a quick update. All of the information is in, but still being sorted through. Is that correct?
It is. What they do is anytime anybody wrote a comment, that would go to that particular department, and they would address that comment, and they would call the resident and see if there's anything else they needed to tell us. They also take all the answers and compile them into percentages. They tell me that it looks pretty good. And then when that's all done, they give me the stack of surveys, and
Right.
I get to read the whole stack. It's really interesting. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm glad that people think the city's running well and that we're getting positive feedback.
Good to hear. We'll keep people up to date on that. A few final notes to pass along. Here's another reason to go to that website you see at the bottom of the screen, newhopemn.gov. It is your chance to vote for the In Focus Photo Contest People's Choice. Tell us about this process.
Well, they should be able, this was the photo contest we did, and they should be able to go online and look at the photos. There's 20 of them, and they're absolutely fabulous. And they can also vote online. Or they can come into City Hall. We've got big screens there, and they sit in a nice comfy chair and they look at the 20 photos. And then there's a sheet that they can mark one. They only get to choose one, though, for this People's Choice Award.
Okay.
And so I know it's so hard because they're all good. So you can either look at them online at City Hall, or you can do it, online at home, or come into City Hall and vote. But please do vote and at least look at them because they're really nice.
Yeah, very good. All right, a couple final notes to pass along, a few dates to remember, and also one bit of information that has to do with our cooperation here of bringing these segments to you. We have a resignation here on our end. A longtime employee with us has announced he's going to retire.
Mike Johnson, he's been with CCX for 40 years. He announced his retirement in April of 22. It takes a long time to replace a really good guy, so he has to do that early. He will be greatly missed. He's been the executive director for a long time, and we really appreciate working with him. So good luck to him, and I'm sure he'll have a lovely retirement come April.
He will. He'll be a busy man. He cannot sit still, so he'll be out there doing things. Couple dates for you to remember. Veterans Day is coming up this week, and you wanted to mention about city offices that day.
So November 11th is Veterans Day. The city offices will be closed. So people, if they would, please take just a moment to remember our veterans and do something nice. Send a card, say hello, just check in to see how they're doing, because it is a very important day. And then the 14th of November is the Pancake Breakfast at Crystal City Hall or Crystal Community Center. And that's from 8 till noon. And they can come in and eat pancakes, and they have a wonderful silent auction. And they usually have some music playing, and the pancakes are wonderful. And all the profits go to the Lions. And of course, the Lions give all that money back to the communities, to different groups. So it's always appreciated to go there.
Yeah, great way to support that club and things going on in the city. Well, a lot going on as always in New Hope. Mayor, thanks so much for your time with us once again today. And again, more information about a lot of the topics on the city's website, newhopemn.gov. Thanks again, Mayor. Look forward to see you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.